Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today I'm answering some of your questions again, such as what is the ultimate Rolex and what do I think of the newly released Omega Worldtimers. All that and more in today's episode. Now, of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I'm still wearing my Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 green dial. I think I'm going to wear it today and then put it back in the watch box tomorrow and swap a few things out. And also, guys, don't forget to check out delraywatch.com. A few more watches in inventory. We just got in the Ball Engineer 3 Marvelite. This is with the rainbow lume markers. Very cool watch, pretty sought after, and a limited edition. We also got in another Omega CK, which is that classic Omega model with the solid silver dial, the manual wind movement, kind of like a vintage-esque sector dial. Really like it. Looks just like my Patek Calatrava as well. I'm a big fan of this styling. And we got in a Breguet Type 20, a very rare version in white gold with a navy dial. Boy, is this absolutely stunning. And it makes me, I've always liked the Type 20. It makes me want one in yellow, white, and steel so I can have the full set, even though I think there's a platinum version too. But we just got the white gold one in, and it's a beauty. All at delraywatch.com, the best place for a watch geek to buy a watch. Link in the description below. Anyway, guys, these are some of your questions that you ask me on my Instagram account at Federico Talks Watches. A few times a month, you'll see a Q&A picture pop up. When you see that picture, feel free to ask your question. When I have enough questions, it usually only takes a couple minutes, I take the picture down. Please do not DM me, I do not check them. And in no particular order, we start with 10X Sean, a good friend of the channel and of mine personally. And he says, Federico, if possible, what brand would you like to collaborate with to do a Federico Talks Watches limited edition? Well, this has never been offered to me, but if I had to pick my dream brand to do it with, it's an easy answer. H. Moser. Boy, I mean, I love their watches. Everybody knows I love their watches. I own 4 of them. I also love the people that run it. I've never discussed this with them, nor have they ever offered. I don't think it would be something feasible business-wise for them, but, you know, in a perfect world, I would collaborate with H. Moser, or maybe even see if they would make me a one-off watch just for me, even though that does sound expensive and I have to save up for a few months or years to make that one happen. Pocket Watch Time says, with the current trend of reissues and brands bringing back old designs, what brand-specific model are you hoping returns? This is an easy question for me. It's a watch I've loved for a long time, and it's not an answer you expect, because it's a Rolex. That's right. I want this Rolex to be reissued, and if it does, I promise I'll buy it, even though I doubt it ever will be. That is the Rolex Bao Dai. I love the yellow gold Jubilee bracelet, kind of like the Datejust case with the calendar and moon phase. This is one of the most beautiful watches I've ever seen. It's extremely rare, but if Rolex ever does reissue this, well, you can put me in the camp of Rolex fanboy once again. I think it's absolutely stunning. I love everything about it. Richard Warren 1919. Would you choose a Pelagos LHD or Pelagos FXD if you need a tough dive watch for everyday wear and use? This is easy for me. I'd pick the LHD. Not that the FXD isn't tough, but the LHD comes with the bracelet with that fantastic clasp. I like kind of the Fotina color palette on it, and a left-sided crown is actually kind of cool. It's something I don't have in my current collection, so it would fit in with part of the quirkiness. The FXD would be a great choice, but just the fact that you don't get a bracelet is a big negative for me, because you can put the LHD on a strap, but the FXD doesn't go on a bracelet. So I think that's a negative. B Weaves 17. Thoughts on the new Omega Worldtimers? I'm surprised they're still at 43. I wouldn't be too surprised. I think the movement is quite large. I'm sure they can shave off a millimeter or two. But it's an easy redesign for them because it's just a new color palette on the dial, a couple new color palettes, and we have a ceramic bezel as well, which is an option. What do I think? Not revolutionary in the slightest, but good looking. I like the green. I like the color palette, and it's an easy refresh and it gives buyers more options. So while not something necessarily newsworthy in my opinion, something cool for sure. John Bertrand, how do you decide when to send a watch back to the manufacturer for service versus having it serviced by your local team? Manufacturers have high premiums and sometimes can take a long time. Is it worth it? Well, I'm a watch dealer, so I have master watchmakers, but sometimes I have to send it to the manufacturer. And this only happens in one of two cases. One, which is way more common than the other. The first one is parts. Am I servicing a movement where a part needs to be replaced and I don't have access to that part? Because brands won't sell me parts. I can sometimes find the parts on eBay, like the movement parts, but sometimes that's cost prohibitive or not available. So occasionally I have to send watches back to the manufacturer. I just sent in a Vacheron, which is hilarious because my watchmaker used to work at Vacheron. He knows what he's doing, but I didn't have the part that was needed. So what do? I send it in. So that doesn't always happen. It's quite rare, but it can happen. And then what's much rarer, I've only done this once or twice, is if I have like a watch that has a complicated polishing pattern. So a good example is a Girard-Perregaux Laureato, which has circular polish on the bezel, or maybe a Nautilus, and the case is really beat up and I need to have it refinished. Well, a normal polisher can't fix it necessarily. For example, the circular polish on the GP, you need a lapping machine, which is like a rotational polishing machine to get that grain correct. So 2 or 3 times in the past 7 years, I've seen a really beat up version of that model, and I'll send it in for service just so I could have it polished properly. But apart from that, it's not something I do often. It's not something I like to do, but sometimes you have to. Then we have R Hans 85. What's your favorite beer? Though I know you're a spirit man. You are right, Hanzo. I am not a beer guy at all. Full disclosure, I actually dislike beer for the most part. I fall into there's only 2 beers I actually enjoy. The first one, which I'm going to get made fun of, is stuff that's like super light. Like Corona, or even Budweiser. Like beer that doesn't taste like beer. That's my first one. And then one that I actually do enjoy is a Blue Moon. I think that might be a little bit of a girly beer, but I do enjoy Blue Moon with a slice of orange. Though, as I said, I very rarely, if ever, drink beer. So I'm much more of a Negroni, Martini, old-fashioned, or Krug champagne kind of guy as opposed to beer. Is it pretentious? Absolutely sounds like it, but my palate is my palate. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Really does help. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more content. And of course, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.